Aloha! Welcome to K-Dub's place. Come on in. It is May 22nd, 2016. This evening we are transmitting from the Zentone Universal headquarters somewhere downtown. And we're going to do what we usually do here at K-Dub's place. We're going to be reading some segments from a book entitled It Seemed Like a Good Idea at the Time, subtitled The Real Life Antics of a 20th Century Kid. Okay, and we're dipping into the what we call the Kenny Wilson for Congress files. Yeah, no kidding. So it'll be some various segments from the book relating to those activities, and at some point, hopefully I'm going to be able to talk my pal, oldest friend and musical partner, Bill Robinson, to join us. And we'll sing at least one song, maybe if I can talk him into it, sing a couple songs. And just to, give you a little break from all the crazy action in the stories. Okay, so, why, here we go. This first little paragraph comes from, I guess it was thoughts that were in my head. Looks like it's about 1964, which was right after my father we had gone back to the Washington, D.C. area. Northern Virginia is where we actually lived. We drove there from Los Angeles because my father had just been elected to represent the 31st District of California at that time. In 62, he won that election and had to go do his gig in the House of Representatives. So we all got into the car spring of 1963, and so moved back there, and he started doing his thing, and was there for about 18 years in the office. And so I guess I think this is about a year after we got there. These were just some things that were going through my head. Somewhere along the line, what with all the dressing up in coats and ties, the hordes of attractive women working in the congressional offices, the access to various places and things that my dad had, the intellectual stimulation of the job, and the high level of partying that they were able to get away with, I decided that it wouldn't be that bad a gig to aspire to. My dad never went to college. Why should I? Actually, after getting back east, I think I was intending to become a lawyer, which would involve some kind of schooling, I imagined. I used to be pretty good at this Avalon Hill board game called Verdict 2. We played a lot of board games amongst the four of us boys. First with Monopoly, then Risk, and All-Star Baseball, and eventually the Avalon Hill games, which required a little more application of the brain. Verdict 2 involved trials, juries, and courtroom drama. I guess I'd figured that I'd get a law degree, become Attorney General, because Brother Don would likely be in the White House, and Brother Steve would end up as a surgeon, or surgeons, or whatever it is, Surgeon General, and we'd all swoop down to save the day for a world in peril. Oh yeah, I imagine Brother Bill would be a first-term House member by then. Anyway, I had to start somewhere, so I started running for office at school on occasion. I think I failed in my first attempt in the 5th grade, but I did get elected to president of my 6th grade class. I continued to run for office, or one office or another, every once in a while, sometimes winning, sometimes not. I always got a kick out of making funny, irreverent posters for those occasions. Actually, I never really took this school politics thing very seriously. It was just good entertainment, and I guess I thought it was something I was supposed to do. So, we jumped from the summer of 1964. I was about 11 years old. We'll jump to the spring of 1980. Yeah, it's kind of a weird year, 1980, for me, that is. So here, this is what we're going to do for the next segment here. We start right here. And also, when the spring rolled around, I must have gotten in a better mood because that's when I decided to run for Congress. I was still delivering flowers, doing the occasional music gig, and taking the occasional psychedelics, but that didn't seem to make any difference. I did this Congress thing again later on in my life, aimed at the 2006 election, but for several reasons didn't get many signatures with which to qualify my name to be placed on the ballot at that time. We'll get to that in due time. But in 1980, even though I didn't start collecting them until about 6 or 7 weeks before the deadline for collecting them, I actually almost got the required amount, but fell a little short. Anyway, during the course of my attempt to get on the ballot as an independent candidate, a few things worth talking about, at least as it relates to this narrative, occurred, which we'll wade through right now. For one thing, Mrs. R at the flower shop got a big kick out of it and started shaking down the customers to sign the petitions that she placed right on the counter. Bless her ever-loving soul. She has quite a few. She got quite a few to do it too. George Mason University, which is located in Fairfax, allowed me to set up at least one day, but I think maybe two, in the lobby of the Student Union building, and I got quite a few signatures while doing that. Meanwhile, Congressman Charles H. Wilson was going through hell in his life as a member of the United States House of Representatives. My dad had a habit of not hiding what he was feeling about most things, especially in terms of the things that came out of his mouth. He made no secret of his ill feelings toward the Republicans and toward the press. And to make matters worse, he didn't have much good to say about the current Democratic administration, which was being run by President Jimmy Carter and his Georgia henchmen. So when the Republican Counsel for the House Ethics Committee took a serious disliking to Dad, as well as a particular reporter for the Washington Post, he didn't have the support of the White House or even the Democratic leadership in the House when it came to the witch hunt that he became a victim of. The infractions that he was accused of by the Republicans on the Ethics Committee were so minor compared to the accepted behavior of most of the members of Congress, including the Democratic leadership at the time, that it soon became obvious that it had become personal. And like I said, the leadership in the House, and especially the White House, turned their backs on him and allowed him to go down in the fire. They could have turned the water hoses on that fire if they wanted to, but the Ethics Committee was pretty new at the time, having been formed as a result of the Watergate mess, so that the Congress could show to the American public that it was capable of policing itself. How do we think that's been going so far? And I believe the Democratic leadership saw my dad as being expendable. So thanks to their indifference, the Honorable Charles H. Wilson was one of the very first members censored by the Congress since the Reconstruction era, following the Civil War. It didn't help that he had hired this hotshot D.C. attorney to handle his case before the committee. The guy was a real jerk, thinking that he could get away with the normal rules of law, and didn't seem to get it that he was dealing with the United States Congress, where they make their own rules regarding such things. My brother Don should have handled it, but he didn't get the chance. And also, that other lawyer clown milked Dad for almost every penny he had, compounding the injury to his already public humiliation. Dad and I had a rather contentious relationship over the years, due to him thinking I didn't show much respect, and due to me thinking he was being hypocritical in his profession from time to time. It took this nightmare that he was living through to show me how he was, in actuality, a great representative for the people of his district, how faithful he was to that mission, and how hypocritical the United States Congress was, and still is, of course. The book I always wanted to write was the story of his life, not mine, but I never got around to it. The book, I never got around to it, and now most of the people that could give me insight on his life and career are dead. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. Okay, on March 17th, 1980, I was at work at the flower shop, and I was getting concerned about Dad. So I started trying to track him down by the phone. I knew he'd be somewhere up on the hill. I finally found him at the Democratic Club, which was a restaurant and bar right across the street from the House office buildings. And I'm pretty sure it was not open to the general public. It was a place that you had to become a member of, if my memory serves me well. I was able to come and go from the place myself because, my dad had an item on the menu that was named after him and his favorite lunch. The Wilson Burger. I just Googled the place, and it's been moved from the old location, but the Wilson Burger is still on the menu. The Wilson Burger is a burger patty with sautéed yellow onions and American cheese on rye. Of course, it comes with a choice of creamy cabbage slaw, French fries, fresh seasoned fruit, or sweet potato fries. I kind of doubt that my dad got the fruit. Anyway, that's where I found him. When they gave him the phone and he got on the line, I asked him how he was doing. He said that he was thinking about quitting and stepping down from his congressional seat at any minute. He was pretty seriously depressed by this time. I don't know how long the hearings in his case had been going on, but the whole thing had been going on one way or the other since 76 or 77. And I'm pretty sure that the ruling and consequent censure were about to go down. He didn't sound good. I seriously doubt that he had had that Wilson Burger, but rather a big liquid lunch. I mean, it was St. Patrick's Day, but he certainly didn't need an excuse to get tanked up. I told him to sit tight, told Mrs. R that I had to go see my dad and that it was an emergency. Of course, she understood. So I split work around 2:30, 3 o'clock, and headed down to Capitol Hill. When I got there, he was sitting alone in a booth, which was very unusual for him. He had always been the life of the party, and now he just sat dejected and drunk in a corner of the place. I sat down and tried to catch up to him by pounding down one strong Irish coffee after another, but it was no good. I don't think it would have been possible to catch up any time in the near future, but I did end up getting a pretty good load on myself. This is about a week after I had started to tell others around me of my intention to do the running for Congress thing, but hadn't discussed it with Dad yet. And given his state of mind, I was a little hesitant to get into it, but after a few drinks, I thought it was time for a little distraction away from how he was feeling about his own life. So I told him all my plans, and initially didn't seem to get any kind of reaction from him. But then he said a couple of things that I'll never forget. First, after giving him my news, he paused for a bit. We both took a big gulp of the whiskey disguised as coffee, and then he said, "Ken, I can't believe that one of my sons would want to have anything to do with this god-awful job." Then, after we had another couple of drinks, I asked him, "Dad, why did you ever get involved with such a merciless and brutal profession?" And he said, "Son, I figured it beat working." No kidding. That's the honest truth. I mean, that he said it. He didn't quit that day, but even though what's printed up in the Washington Post doesn't mean a whole lot to the people in Los Angeles, but when the Los Angeles Times got into the act and started to inform the Angelinos of the goings-on surrounding my dad's situation in the halls of Congress, that was pretty much all she wrote. When the primary came around, which he had always won by large margins, he was beaten by a guy who had had accusations of corruption thrown in his direction while he was lieutenant governor of California. But that had been a couple of years ago, prior, I guess, and we all know about the short memory that the electorate has. And he knew that as soon as a person of color ran against him, he'd have a bit of a fight because his district had a predominantly African-American population. So, Mervyn Dymally won the primary, and Dad became a lame duck in the month of June, and there wasn't anything that could be done about it. As for my little attempt at getting on the ballot as a candidate for the House seat in the 10th District of Virginia, I'm not really sure why I was doing it at the time. The more recent foray against the political establishment that I conducted in between 2004 and 2006 was much better thought out, at least as to my motives and feelings about what I consider to be the most important issues of the day. Of course, that had similar results as far as my not getting on the ballot, but we'll hit that topic later. In 1980, I was a bit upset watching what my dad was going through, so I probably wanted to let off some steam and declare openly and in public my feelings about certain members of the House of Representatives, especially the one sitting in the seat of the district I was living in. Actually, he seemed to be a nice enough old coot, but he didn't get on the right side of this thing. Plus, I thought it might be kind of fun. And I did have a bit of fun right at the end of that candidacy. I got the Slade brothers down at Quincy's to let me put on a campaign fundraiser the week after the petition signing deadline was to happen. I had done a few gigs down there over the last year or so, and we still were getting along just fine. Bobby Slade kind of hemmed and hawed a bit because apparently the current guy representing that particular district had pulled some strings to get him out of jail once. But after I convinced him that I'd be putting on a unique show and more importantly could bring in a bunch of paying customers, he and his bro capitulated and we set it up. He had one condition, though. Back during the Christmas season the year before, the Zentones and I had done a show there, and before each of the 3 sets we played, we did a few Christmas carols on kazoos. I think everyone else, especially us, thought it was hilarious, but I guess the Slades didn't share that sentiment, so they made it a condition of our fundraiser agreement that we were to play no kazoos at the event. I didn't say anything at the time, but when I left there and started telling some of the musicians, revolution became a topic of conversation. Kind of like when Elvis Costello did his Saturday Night Live performance in 77 or 78 and had to agree to do this particular song that he didn't really want to play, so he stopped the song after about 20 seconds and did another one, which lambasted the world of commercial radio, his great radio. He got banned from that show altogether for years, possibly to this day. So I got all hot under the collar and figured to pull the kazoos out one more time to show my indignation. Cooler heads prevailed, however, and I'm pretty sure we left the kazoos at home. What I did do was to have almost every musician that I had played with the last 2 or 3 years come down to the club to participate. We had a completely different lineup of cats each of the 3 sets. It was like 3 all-star bands in one little 3-set night. That was a great night for me because I was proud to be associated with all of them, and having them all show up that night was an incredible thrill. The only downside that I could think of was the fact that I had failed to get the required signatures by the deadline, which had come and gone a few days prior. The campaign was pretty much a bust, so I took what dough we'd gotten from the event, bought a bunch of beer, and had a party out at Peter Bonta's shortly thereafter. I don't know if I was starting to feel a little contact pain from my dad or what, but the year 1980 ended up throwing me into a bit of confusion and possibly a hint of depression myself. I was still playing some music here and there. I still knew how to get a lot of laughs, but my sordid life and my dad's situation and my lack of real focus geared toward the fixing of my existing problems was non-existent. Okay, and now I'd like to present my oldest friend, good pal, music partner from decades and decades ago, Mr. Bill Robinson. We're going to perform a song that he wrote. It's actually the first song, I believe, that we ever learned together. Probably wrote it when he was, 16 or 17 or something. Anyway, a little song called America.
Stand at your door, stranger wants a song. Where will your children be when the evening's gone? You've been a bad lady, yeah, that's what we see. Come back to our arms. we will set you free. Yeah. Come on and try to stop the road. It's not time to hide. Together, hand in hand, we go down the road we glide. You see so much when you're traveling, yet so much passes you by. Come on, my lady, now we'll make you high. Yeah. There's so much to dream about it, only be free. There's so much to talk about, maybe we can make love. You know it's not a bad idea. Experience love. Come back to these arms again. We come undone, and then we will float away, float into the sun. The children and the ladies shouting, we won, we are one. No, you're not a sinner. That's only in your mind. You're only a beginner, and beginners sometimes feel so unkind. I'm telling you, baby, you got time. Tried so hard to see you, but all you saw was veil. The trying will not free you, but quitting means you fail. Only you can end that tale. Now I sing of you, you sing to me about how it will be, of all the love we could share if we would only pair and agree. You miss a point. That's not what I said. You led, you must accept the life that you led before accepting mine. Now I sing of you, you sing to me about how it will be, of all the love we could share if we would only pair and agree.
Just like Sugar Mountain. Cough at the end.
Was there coffee?
Blisters on my fingers.
You may not play again for 10 years. You might as well do it now.
Do it now. I got plenty of time for these to wear off.
Okay, I'd like to thank Bill Robinson for joining us in the old Zentone Universal Studios with a couple songs, one called America and the other called The Life You Led, both of which go back a long time ago. Anyway, that's about it for K-Dub's show here tonight. We kind of got carried away on the Kenny Wilson for Congress thing, so we've got like another episode that's going to have to be dedicated to the big finale of the Kenny Wilson for Congress files. So we will do that as soon as we possibly can. And of course there will be a lot more fun and frivolity and severe levity coming up in the upcoming K-Dub's place. And of course just a little note that if you'd like to check up on whatever else is going on, you can go to kdubsplace.com, and that pretty much explains anything that needs to be explained. Okay, so once again, big mahalo to everyone, and aloha no, and aloha yeah.